Hello, hello, and welcome to the Almost Homestead. And today, I'm going to talk to you about Black history. Why on earth should I be the person talking about Black history? Because I can tell you a whole lot about what I was and was not taught about Black history growing up as a tiny little white kid in Indiana in the middle of nowhere. And so I thought I would start out by kind of explaining where I grew up and what it was demographically. So I grew up in super rural Indiana. I was on the road that divided our county for another. So if I had lived across the street, I would have went to a totally different school district. And would have been in a whole different county. And about 5 or 10 miles another direction was the line to a different county. So I was at the very corner of my school district, of my county, and I went to a school from kindergarten to 9th grade that was made up of kids from a bunch of rural communities. And to put it in perspective, not a single child walked to school because the school was surrounded by fields. So we, and a side note of randomness, there was a train track behind us that occasionally carried VX gas. So that was cool. My upbringing was unique. But racially, the school was almost entirely white. We had, until we got into 7th grade, we had exactly 4 students in the system that were not white. They were all Hispanic or a mix of Hispanic and white. And then in 7th grade, our first African-American student moved into the school district. He was a basketball player. He had cool hair. All the girls loved him, except me because he was sporty and yeah, I'm not about that life. But it was quite the interesting experience. Parents had a very quick education in things because this is not what they had ever experienced. And suddenly all of their daughters wanted to date the Black basketball star. Yeah. And then when I moved in at the end of 9th grade, I moved to an even smaller school district. My graduating class was 48. So I'm talking small. However, we were considerably more diverse because despite our small size, we had 2 African Americans in our school. Yes, they were siblings. But as you can see, it was just not at all diverse in religion, in race, in nationality. It was very insular. So my husband and I sat down. Now that you know kind of where we grew up, my husband and I went to school together, although some years apart, from 10th to 12th grades. And so we made a list, I made my own list, and then he added a few things. But everything that I was ever taught about African American history, okay? Are you ready? Are you ready? It is not a long list. This will not take long. Trust me. We learned about slavery. Yeah, I know, right? We learned about very bare basics of Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman. I think I learned about John Brown and Harper's Ferry. I don't know that James did, because part of our, education was in different places. We learned about the freed slaves helping in the Civil War. We learned about Booker T. Washington and peanuts. That was our education on Black excellence. We then learned about Reconstruction, Jim Crow, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks and the bus boycott. We learned a bit about the sit-ins and the marches, not very much about the marches. Oh, and we learned about Uncle Tom's Cabin, but just that it existed, not anything about it. We didn't read it, didn't discuss it. It was like a 2 sentences in a history book kind of a thing. We learned about desegregation, Ruby Bridges. Again, like, not much. And then we learned about the rise of the Klan, and we learned how soldiers that came back from World War II, Vietnam, were treated horrifically. That's it. That's all. So a few things that we did not ever learn about. Oh, wait. My husband said he did learn about Malcolm X, Black Panthers, Freedom Riders. Okay? He did. I did not. I was a grown adult when I did my own curiosity searching. Who is Malcolm X? Like, who are these Black Panthers and why are people upset about them? So, okay, here are the things. I made a big list of things that I did not learn about. I did not learn about the Tuskegee Airmen. I live like an hour from a museum with all kinds of stuff about the Tuskegee Airmen, and we did not learn anything. I didn't learn about Malcolm X. I didn't learn about the Black Panthers. From random grumblings from humans, I heard that they existed, but I didn't know that they fed children or the good that they did. I did not know that there was a Black Wall Street. I did not know that Tulsa burned. I did not learn about the Harlem Renaissance and the art and the music, with the exception of Dizzy Gillespie and Louis Armstrong. I learned about those from my grandpa because my grandpa was a big jazz fan, and he gave me crap because when I played my trumpet, I started to puff out my cheeks, and he was like, listen, child, do you not want to know what will happen to you if you continue? Like, there's a trumpet player named Dizzy Gillespie, and his cheeks are huge. Don't do that. I did not learn about Madam C.J. Walker. Again, we are an hour from where Madam C.J. Walker had her Indianapolis headquarters for a business. Never heard about her at all. We didn't learn about the Tuskegee experiment. We didn't learn about Bull Connor, the violence against the protesters, the dogs. I think we may have learned about the hose, but I'm not sure. We didn't learn about the songs and the quilts and the way those were used during the days where people were escaping slavery. Didn't learn that soul food was a thing. Didn't get to taste soul food. I would just like to say someone needs to remedy that. No matter how small your community is, somewhere during your education, you should get to eat some soul food. I got to eat food from Greece. Why didn't I get to eat food from other cultures in America? Somebody needs to explain that. We did not learn about Martha Johnson and Pride, how Pride came from the Stonewall riots. Didn't learn about Birmingham, the church bombing, and nothing about Emmett Till. So those are just a few of the things that I, as an adult, know about now. And how did I learn about some of these things? So I got a really unique opportunity. I had a lot of friends that were from non-English speaking countries when I was in college. And one of them was having trouble in a class because the professor was giving out a lot of information that she didn't know much about, and it was complicated for her to keep up. So she recorded what was happening, like what his lectures were. And then I would come over and I got to listen to them. And it was a Black history class taught by a local minister here in the city I live now. And so I get to learn about that from him accidentally. And then my husband took the same class. And so he would come home and he would tell me what he learned. So I did get to learn parts and pieces. I'm not the whole class, just a few assorted lectures. But yeah, so that's how I know the things that I do know. So what I'm thinking I will do for the rest of the month, I have a shorts challenge for today and 2 more days of this month. I think I'm going to use at least one of those shorts every day to talk about the Black history that I didn't learn as a child, that I didn't learn as a teenager, that some of which I learned, like the quilts, I learned like 2 weeks ago from sitting in Auntie Ellen's chat. So when I say some of this I never learned, I mean some of this I literally like just learned recently. But I'm curious what I would like for you, my YouTube audience, is clearly I was not educated well on this topic. Clearly I was not. So if you happen to be making any videos about Black history this month, I would love it if you would tag me so that I can watch those. And then try and make a little video showing what I learned and point people back to your video. I wanted to talk about why it's important for everybody to learn about African American history. I have tried to record it 3 times, and I'm really struggling to find the words to express what I feel about this. And the best way that I can explain it is to compare it to this family I knew. So in this family, it was mom and 2 kids. The kids woke up like normal. They did the same thing with their mom. She had, her daily interactions with them. But when the oldest went to sleep for school the next day, she would take the baby downstairs and have special time with him. So when they look back at their childhoods, they are going to have a very different way of thinking about their childhood, because one of them will not know that the other one had this experience. It's not that she doesn't want to love her sibling. It's not that she doesn't think his experience is important. It's that she doesn't realize that there's an experience that was very different from hers. And I feel like in some ways that's where we're at as a society. There are a lot of things that were part of the Black experience that white people have no idea exist. And while granted, some of them don't want to know, they don't care, they don't think it's important to them, some just have no idea that they don't know what they don't know. And that is problematic because we make a lot of judgments in our society against people who we see as different. And because our lived experiences were so different, and we're never taught that they were different, that disconnect grows. And I am a fan of connection and building bridges and people not sucking and just learning about other people's experiences and how their experience of the world is different than ours because of things we probably won't know unless we ask. So I hope that makes sense. because I'm not recording it again. This is time 4. I'm done. I can't. I just can't with this. If you make videos about Black History Month, Black history, things that I should know, I hope that you will tag me so I can learn more, so I can keep learning and keep growing. And as always, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, click the like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, eat something wild. I would recommend soul food.